Okay, guys, what's happening? How you guys doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
I'm doing great.
Doing great. Back
Couple of
from
really nice saves, a couple of nice wins there, and we're in business here. It looks like the entire oil nation's happy. Not too much complaining and whining going on. It's great.
there's always whining to happen. We're whining about ice time, and are we going to be able to maintain the gruesome schedule after the Olympic break with McDavid and Draisaitl playing however many minutes and whatnot, right? So there's always something to complain about.
Yeah.
But overall, let's jump right into our segment. We inaugurated it last week, and it's the complaints department. Overall, not a lot to complain about. Brendan, why don't you lead the way with the defense?
So we've had games against the Islanders, 1 goal against the Vancouver Canucks, 0 goals against, and against the St. Louis Blues, 0 goals against. Out of those, like 180 minutes of hockey, if my math is right, there's probably been about 4 decent scoring chances, maybe 5 in that time, where the defense is kind of broken down a little bit, and the goaltending's been there for most of it. So there's really not a lot you can do to pick apart the Oilers defense. I could see them, maybe wanting to be a little bit more aggressive against the Islanders when it's that nothing game, and maybe take some more chances to break that deadlock and play assertively and jump up into the play. But they're being pretty cautious. I don't think it was necessarily a bad defensive play that led to that 1 goal from Duclair to win that game. And so the core as a whole has been playing very well. I like to think that if I'm going to pick a standout performer, I think I've seen Darnell Nurse playing some defense, playing in front of his net, making it tough to get space out there, clearing out some rebounds. I've always really liked how he plays as the trailer on a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2, where he's that high player coming in and getting good shots.
Yeah.
And he's doing that. He's creating opportunities when he sees them, but he's being really smart about when he chooses to jump up and when he chooses to stay back. I don't see him with any hand grenade passes through the middle. I've seen him play more exciting hockey in his career, but I think he's playing a really nice balanced game right now. And he's earning not all, but some of that $9 million that they're paying him. So I think this is a good time in Darnell Nurse's career at this point, where in the last, couple of weeks for sure, and maybe the last 6 weeks, he's played pretty solid NHL hockey, and definitely what you want to see in a top 4 defenseman.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite things is when he's making a good first pass, he's getting the puck off his stick, giving and going. I think that's the strength of his game, and being the trailer in the offensive zone. When you're not talking about him, he's doing a job. He's doing his job, and we've talked about this on the pod. We've talked about this, throughout his tenure. The more low event he is, the team thrives on that.
I've sometimes wondered how much pressure he puts on himself to be a high event player, because he's been labeled as this high draft pick, sort of offensive defenseman, multi-tool defenseman. And I think this is actually a better role for him, right? If he can just settle into being a physical player that chips in 6 or 7 goals a year at the most and tries to, kill some penalties, like that's a good role for him to soak up minutes, chew through minutes, and just play those.
Sorry to cut you off there. I think if he takes that role seriously, I think the offense comes. I think the rest of his game he just needs to let it come to him. He's not a terribly instinctual offensive player. He can read the play, but I agree with you. I think a lot of it is pressure, and a lot of it is self-inflicted. He does have the athletic ability to skate up and down. It's just choosing the time. And I mean, sometimes I don't really have a problem with him rushing the puck. I have a problem with him rushing the puck 1-on-5, 1-on-4, and then making a really weak play and turning it over. If he's going in and if he's gonna protect the puck and wait in the corner, I'm fine with that. But it's that dipsy doodle that he tries to do, which annoys the crap out of me.
I've seen him rush the puck in the second period, right? The offensive players in his team have a long change. He's basically out there by himself. He decides this is a good time to try to make a move at center ice. Like, you have no defenseman back, and you have all 3 of your teammates that are heading to the bench.
It's a long change.
Yeah. So if you mess this up, it's going back the other way as like a 2-on-0, and it happens. He doesn't do it as much anymore, but I've seen him make that kind of play in the past. So here we have, maybe finally, after a long journey, a much more mature and clever and thoughtful Darnell Nurse out on the ice, and that's going to be good news for Oiler fans if he can maintain that through the rest of the season.
Well, how much of an impact do you think because he's regularly playing with Emerson now, right? We've got Wallman and Stastny. I think Stastny's ending up playing on the right side on that third pair. I think the addition of Wallman's definitely helped, maybe help pick up the slack minute-wise. But do you feel like Emerson's steadiness has allowed Nurse to kind of settle in? Do we have a new Nurse whisperer right now?
That's got to be part of the story, right? We've had a dozen different D partners for Darnell Nurse since he came to the team. And I've seen some fancy stats on it where Troy Stetcher was, a positive influence on him, whereas every other defensive partner, he seems to have made them worse. So the fact that Emerson can, appear to play with Darnell Nurse and have a net positive for both of their games, I think the coaches are going to keep going back to that, and that's a good sign for Oiler fans if you have a nice stable D pair in there.
Do you have anything to add to this?
No, I think you guys are spot on. I think with defense just being very solid right now, and I think Darnell subscribes to our podcast because we've been talking about him and he's doing all the things we said he shouldn't be doing. It's good. It's a positive sign. We're playing really good hockey right now. It's I want to see a little bit more, but we'll move on to the goaltending. I think.
I think we'll leave the goaltending to last if you're okay with that, because that seems to be the cream of the crop this week. Just with your notion of Nurse potentially tuning into this podcast, I mean, that'd be cool. But if there's anybody on the team, I feel like it would be him that pays a lot of attention to the media. I can't, when you said that, I went back to that quote, that interview. Remember when, I can't remember if it was in the playoffs or not, when he was just like, well, that's what you guys think, right? Because that's what you're saying. Remember that? Called out the guy. That was pretty awesome. But yeah, I'll take the floor for now on the forwards. We'll come back to you on the goaltending.
Yep.
I think same thing. Not a whole lot to complain about. In fact, I can't remember if I gave him some praise last week or if it was the deleted podcast that didn't make the air. But Trent Frederick, starting to look like an NHLer. He's been a lot more noticeable in a good way in the last few games. Again, not a whole lot to complain about. If there's one, hard to really pick one player to stand out. Giving some flowers to Frederick. I'm really enjoying Roslovic. I think that, before his injury, he was probably, this was before McDavid started coming around as well. But yeah, I think he was probably our best forward. Aside from the first 3 games of the season, I thought he was our most consistent. He looked dangerous almost every shift. We're starting to see that come back a little bit. He struggled a little bit to come, I don't think he was struggling in a sense of like fighting the puck or anything. I just think that things were not really going as smoothly for him once he got back from injury. But I mean, given the degree of his injury, I feel like we can give him a little bit of slack on that. But last few games, especially, I've liked his game. Maybe playing with Howard and Savoy there have rejuvenated his game a little bit. But he's probably, if I got to pick one guy, honorable mention to Zach Hyman as well. And of course, I mean, McDavid's McDavid, obviously not really good things to say about him as well, but Hyman as well. I mean, he's on a tear of his own. We keep talking about McDavid's heater. Hyman's got 19 goals already. And I think he's got 31 games under his belt. So he missed how many games was that? First 15 games or something like that? Right?
He'll need to pick up the pace a little bit if he wants to score 50 and 50, but he's not far off.
Well, it's funny because all of us went under. We didn't think he's going to hit the 25 goal plateau. I don't know. Do we want to revisit that at this point and pick the other pony? Go with the over?
It seems like the over is inevitable at this juncture.
Yeah. What do you guys have anything to chime in on the forwards? Anybody else that I'm sleeping on?
Well, I mean, I want to talk about Podkolzin because I was at the game on Saturday in Vancouver, and
he's not going back to Draisaitl when he comes back. I'm telling you that much, right? He's going to be lobbying to stay on that top line.
He was a lot more noticeable than Pettersson was, and in fact, if you look at the stat line, you have Elias Pettersson who's making $11 million a year versus Podkolzin who's making $1 million, and they're basically exchangeable players at this point, which is hilarious to see. That Vancouver just gave him away, and now if he was on the Canucks roster, he'd be one of their top players. So,
what spot would he be in scoring? He'd be
he'd be number 2 in the Canucks in scoring for goals.
I saw this crazy stat. If Oliver Ekman-Larsson was on the Canucks, which he kind of is because they're still paying him for another 3 or 4 years,
right?
He'd be their leading scorer right now.
Oh,
We can
Vancouver.
let's hold that one till the end of the chat. We can deconstruct the Canucks. I was like I said on the game. I'll give you a little breakdown of what I saw in Canucks land on Saturday. But let's just say that I'll give honorable mention to Podkolzin for really producing as a value contract. He's having a great year, and let's not forget, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins coming into game number 1,000, which is a pretty remarkable feat. The first member of the Edmonton Oilers to play 1,000 games with the Edmonton Oilers. Without having any other NHL teams help out to contribute to that number. So we had Adam Henrique play for a few teams, get to that 1,000 mark as an Oiler, but Ryan Nugent-Hopkins from day one all the way till today, still working on that mustache. If he plays it 5 more years, maybe he'll finally get that full playoff beard finally put together. But for 1,000 games, a very, very, very solid career so far for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Who would have thought, right? The most loyal Oiler ever out of Burnaby, British Columbia. Pretty crazy.
He's awesome. I love the Nuge. I hope he's still around for a while.
I remember talking about BC. Glenn Anderson was a BC boy, right? I remember, I think this was like 96. His dream was to play for the Canucks. Good old Glenn Sather claimed him off waivers and brought him back to Edmonton. You remember that? He's like, forget it. We need you. He claimed him off waivers. And he ended up playing in Edmonton. I don't think he ever played for the Canucks, right?
I don't think so.
That was a classic.
I'd like to remind the Canuck fans that Mark Messier played for them, which is it's beautiful to watch because they start screaming and complaining and bitching about how they got robbed.
That's a good segue because number 11 is Mark Messier's number. It's also the number of consecutive losses the Canucks have strung together.
I think we're going to lose some Vancouver subscribers right now, but your segue
with people when they're down, man. You just can't kick them while they're down. I feel bad for them.
You don't want to kick people when they're down? Did I just hear that?
Yeah, well, they kicked us when we were down, but I don't think any pleasure watching them. Like, man, it was kicking.
Just bringing up Messier. He was the GOAT back then. There was, someone is always responsible for bringing down the franchise when they're on the cusp. Who is it this time? I guess we don't really want to make this a Connect podcast, but one more shot and then we'll move on. Who's responsible this time?
It's going to be Pedersen. They changed the whole
every
team
6
around
or 7 years. We see this, right?
Yeah, they changed the entire team around this guy. They got rid of most of their players that he was having frictions with. Apparently, I mean, we don't know. And now it's a complete rebuild of what I think was a really solid team. They had all the pieces.
Guess they should have kept either Horvat or JT Miller. Those are.
I think Horvat was the beginning of it. Yeah,
I think Horvat was the beginning of the end. If you guys remember offline, I was saying this. I'm like, these guys should not have moved Horvat.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing the right. I don't know. Anyways, let's move on. This is an Oiler podcast, and let's rejoice in the 3 consecutive shutouts, 1 against and 2 for. And let's turn it over to Ahmed. Unless you want to chime in on the forwards before we do that.
No, I think you guys covered it. I think the unspoken hero for the forward line group is Podkolzin by far. I do love what Hyman's doing. He's motivated to get on that Team Canada roster, and I think he's doing everything he can to make it tough for them. But I think I love the fact that we've kind of got like a Swiss Army knife in Podkolzin because he's gone up and down the lineup, and now he's playing with McDavid and producing like he should be.
He is. But you know what? The biggest thing for me, and this is why I chose Roslovic, we have a third line. And in all 3 of those games, I mean, that Islander game, we should have probably won that game like 6-0 or something because we carried that after the first period. It wasn't even a contest, and it was because we just kept coming in waves, right?
It was because Draisaitl kept hitting the post.
Yeah, let's not go there. I mean, I finally ended up seeing Brendan. I didn't watch the end of it. I finally ended up seeing it. It was worse than you described. Maybe that's the other thing. I haven't really been tuning in. I guess I watched the whole Canuck game. Can't miss that one. But I didn't watch the whole Blue game either. So maybe I need to stop watching.
Well, I want to mention that Frederick did get robbed a goal. He scored, but the refs, for whatever reason, waved it off. They said it's not in there. In the replay, it shows that the puck is clearly across the line before the whistle goes. But, I mean, Fred's been playing good. I'm really happy to see this coming around, like you said, Aleem. And I don't know, but the one thing I want to point out while we're talking about the forwards is it's no fluke that we've moved Roslovic back to the third line, and because Henrique's out, and the team looks faster, right? Everything is moving a little bit quicker. Not to dump on Henrique, but I just think that since he's been out, and we've got Roslovic who's got a little bit of speed, the entire team's bottom six or bottom nine at least. Sorry, the bottom 9 players, not taking into account the fourth line, are producing at a really good clip, right? So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think when he comes back, we put him back on a wing or something like that, or keep him at center?
I think what I've seen is the counterattack is coming a little bit more from Howard and Savoie with Roslovic there. So Henrique was fairly good at just trying to keep the puck in the right position on the ice, try to contain, get the puck chipped back out, but they weren't necessarily looking to counter. And Roslovic wants to counter and go back and attack when they get the opportunities. So it creates a lot more danger from that third line.
I think so. I agree. And I think the understatement of at least this podcast, I'm going to name it right now, is Roslovic and a little bit of speed. The guy's got a ton of speed. And what I like is it's controlled. He's not going 100 miles an hour every shift, but you know, as in that Canuck game, Vancouver learned a little bit harder. You can't sleep on him because he's got a really good first step. I think that makes a huge difference. I was saying, though, I don't really like Roslovic at center. I think he's a better winger, but also he hasn't played center a really long time. He's starting to come around a little bit. You're never going to confuse him for a shutdown third line center, right? I don't think that's his makeup, but last few games, and again, you know what? I got to do it, you know, be realistic a little bit. We want to see this against better competition as well, right?
Yeah.
Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. But you know what? Enough of that. Let's jump into the goaltending. Take it away.
So there is a complaint in the goaltending department, and it's not our goalies. In fact, it's not a goalie. It's the fan base in Pittsburgh trying to rub it in our face how good Skinner's doing in Pittsburgh. And they're capping on all the fans in Edmonton being wrong about Skinner. Well, if the Edmonton Oilers fan base and the Oilers as an organization were wrong about Skinner and trading him, why is it that since he's gone, the Oilers are in the top 10 in save percentage and wins in the league? It's you know, like both of our goalies in Ingram and in Jari, even though he's just returned, we are top 10 in save percentage in the NHL. I mean, that was not the case. We're bottom 3 in the NHL for the entire duration of the time Skinner was around. So there's a correlation there. I'm happy for Skinner. I love the guy. I think he's a great human and a solid goalie. Hopefully he'll win some accolades as a goaltender, and he does really well for Pittsburgh. But to keep on dumping on the Oilers and the Oiler fans for being down on him, there was a reason for that. And maybe Pittsburgh hasn't seen it yet. Hopefully they never see it. You know?
They will see it.
Yeah, you never know, right? But we have some awesome goaltending right now, and I think between Jari, I'd like to see Jari play a few more before I actually make a decision on him. He's been playing okay, but our goalie right now, I think in my mind, the clear number 1 is Ingram, because not only does he play well, he's making the saves, but he instills a sense of calm in the team, and he's never panicked, no matter what the situation is. He seems like he's got it together back there. And that will give the team confidence to like move up and maybe even take some chances from time to time. But it's not to discount how much better the defense is playing as well, right? You mentioned earlier about Ekholm and Darnell Nurse. I think that they're really picking it up. I think the addition of Stastny has been amazing. He's been working really well at the back end there. So we're doing okay. But I think that's a complaint. Is the Pittsburgh fans need to chill out a little bit. Just wait.
You know what, Brendan? Before you jump in, I have a complaint actually. My biggest complaint is trading Skinner before even bringing Ingram up and giving him an opportunity. Because, and Brennan, we talked about this offline, and I think you might agree, we could have had a Skinner Ingram tandem, and we could have saved money on Jari, because what we were really looking for was someone who could do a 1A, 1B. And as much as a Calvin Pickard fan that I am, I really like him. He just has not been able to seize that opportunity. And I would have liked to see, and we talked about this, I think, on the pod as well, is at least bring him up before you make the change. Now, for at least this year, we, my opinion, what is it, $2.5 million that we spent that we didn't have to potentially? Because I would be happy with the Skinner, as long as the other goaltender can hold his own tandem, right?
And you know, I thought when we picked up Ingram, I really was happy because I recall when he first even entered the league, he was touted to be a really good goalie, and obviously he is that. He's his save percentage right now is 917, which is something we haven't seen since Mike Smith, right? So
Oh,
I'm
boy.
enjoying this. Let's hope it sticks and it continues into the playoffs. But yeah, there's no complaints about the goaltending. Those guys are giving the team what it needs. Doesn't have to be spectacular like we've discussed in the past podcast. It just has to be league average. And right now, it's better than league average, which is phenomenal. Yeah.
I'm still not sure what we have in Jari. He's had a shutout in his last game, and he's had 4 goals, including overtime against Nashville. He had a good game against Toronto a few weeks ago, but the sample size is small, and we're still not really seeing him, win a game, right? He hasn't goalied another team. He hasn't come out and been the difference maker. He plays well on nights where the Oilers are playing well, and he hasn't really had any nights where the Oilers are playing really poorly in front of him. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes in the next few weeks. What kind of goalie Jari really is when the pressure's on and when he has to make some saves, because really he hasn't been called upon in a big way. I was at that Vancouver game, like I said, there's maybe a couple of scrambles in front where the defense was trying to clear the puck and he was looking for it, and those were Vancouver's most dangerous chances. But there wasn't a breakaway. There wasn't a big, 2-on-1. There wasn't a 5-on-3 power play. There wasn't any of that kind of stuff where it really put the goalie under pressure.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty pedestrian, easy shutout by shutout standards. And I want to see what he does when faced with a little bit more difficulty of offensive chances.
Well, that's why I said the jury's out on Jari. So let's see what happens here.
Yeah, no, I think for me, he's, Bowman came out and he said that based on the homework that they've done, and this is, I don't know if this is just a cultural thing in the city, the organization, who's the pro scouts, because that's the exact opposite of what I've seen. I think he's been consistently inconsistent. There'll be games or periods where he looks like, a pretty decent goaltender. He's making a really good read and making a really solid save. And then you question, just a couple shifts later on whether he's played goal before, right? It's interesting because we're paying 5.4 million for someone who's, in my opinion, in this, it's been a small sample size. We'll give him some more rope, but he's been pretty inconsistent. I think that about sums it up, right?
Wait and see. I do think, like you said earlier, we have to wait for some better competition before I make any kind of judgment. I don't think that they're seeing the number of shots Skinner was seeing. I still have to see a game where, he's peppered with 35, 40 shots or whatever it may be, and see how he comes out, right? But right now, the games that he's played well enough to win, and that's all we're asking for. I want to see him play at least this level with Colorado or a Dallas or even Minnesota now, to see if he can come out on top and making those timely saves, which is what the team needs. I mean, people are going to score. He's not going to get every save, but as long as those goals are not scored, like the timing was the one thing that killed the Oilers with Skinner, right? I mean, we would go up by a goal and then 30 seconds later, the next shot was in. So as long as we can avoid something like that, I think the team's in a good situation.
He's definitely letting in higher quality goals than we're used to. So I'll give him that. But just from a consistency standpoint and just visual eye test, he's looked a little awkward. And I mean, maybe we can chalk it up to him not being 100% as well, because that groin situation, you guys can attest to that being goaltenders. Not easy to get back into things, right?
It'll take time.
The other observation I wanted to make is I can't tell if the higher save percentage is going to reflect as creating a higher penalty kill percentage, or if the penalty killing is going to be a little bit tighter, which leads to just more saves on the penalty kill. But I think that if we're going to see the goaltending continue like it has in the last week, the Oilers already very capable penalty kill will suddenly elevate into the top 5 or 6 in the league if they can get that really good goaltending, making those tough saves.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what we were at the beginning of the year, it was like almost a guarantee, better than 50% chance the other team was going to score on the power play.
It was atrocious.
It was terrible, and we were then against them.
How did we go from like 97% in the 24 playoffs to like 54% in the 25 playoffs to like 50% in the first like 6, 7, 8 games of the season?
Well, you have to look at the goals that were being let in. There were some really big goals being let in, right?
Was it Vinny Desharnais? Was it Warren Fogle? Right? I don't know.
Desharnais, man, I love what he did with Tkachuk, welcoming him back to the NHL. Remember how Tkachuk was going to be out for the entire year and now he's back already because the Olympics are around the corner, and the league decided they don't want to, give the team the benefit of his cap space.
I don't know.
It's amazing
know
how
who
he
you're
healed so quickly.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, no, they said he was going to be out for the year, and now he's back playing because obviously the team can capitalize on his essentially the team with Florida, in my opinion, was to bring him back first game of the playoffs, right, and use that cap space to bring somebody else. But because the league put its foot down and said that you can't do that anymore, he's back now, and it's January. He was supposed to be gone for an entire year.
It's almost like when you tell your kid that they're full at the dinner table, and so they can't have ice cream, and their kid's like, "But there's ice cream, so I have room left for ice cream."
That's
So they
right.
go, "Oh, I knew it. I knew there was a little bit of room left."
Yeah.
You want the reward.
That's right.
And that's the thing about the Olympics. Like, I'm hurt for the whole year. Oh, what about the Olympics? I have room for the Olympics.
Yeah,
That's all
I
it
can come
is.
back for the Olympics.
Yeah.
Speaking of cap, let's do this segue into division rivals. Trade in the NHL over the weekend. Calgary shipped over Rasmus Anderson, Leon Draisaitl's favorite defenseman. And they ended up creating a $250,000 cap space or something like that with this move. How does that happen? First of all, how do you convince the team? I mean, couple weeks ago we were talking about Seelovs in Vancouver not wanting a deal in Edmonton. And that's one of the reasons why I had to move for Jari. But how does Vegas convince Calgary to do this? Calgary did this when they shipped off Lindholm and Zadorov to Vancouver in 24, right?
It's called a second round pick because they have draft capital. So they're basically trading Anderson for White Cloud in a first, but they managed to get a 50% retainer on the salary by throwing in that second round pick as well.
And the fact that Anderson really wanted to go to Vegas. He'd made it clear that's where he wanted. I mean, we don't know what's behind closed doors, but from every report is that was his destination of choice. That's where he wanted to go, so they had to accommodate it.
Because his friend Noah Hannafin is there, maybe? Who knows?
Probably.
I think
Vegas.
there's a lot of NHL players. They just really like the idea of playing in Vegas, though, right? The weather's good, the city's good, the party's good, young guys with money. It's probably a pretty reasonable place to want to go play hockey. Like, you'd rather go to Vegas than go play in Ottawa or Winnipeg or
Edmonton.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to love the atmosphere, right? You have to.
Connor McDavid isn't enough.
Not enough.
Go figure.
Not
figure.
enough of a draw. Not
the Gen Zs of the world.
Yeah.
We just lost another 3 subscribers. Yeah, I mean, my take as usual. We're
gonna have to do a rebuild on the subscribers, right? We're doing a retool or a rebuild.
Now we're just gonna blow it right off. Let's go back to the Canuck talk. Blow it right off. No, but I mean, it just seems like Vegas. Every time they make a move, my first thought is how the hell are they kept flying, right? They have Marner and Eichel, and they didn't draft either of them. And then they have Mark Stone. They didn't draft him either. Is there anybody on the team that they've actually drafted? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I hate them. They keep on improving on that team. I think it's going to be tough. I don't know what the Oilers are thinking right now, but no matter who we face in the playoffs here, it's not going to be an easy out to get to the finals this time around. I mean, not that it was the past years, but it's going to be, I think, even tougher this time around with the improvements that all these teams have made. Vegas is a lot stronger. We know about Colorado, and Minnesota is looking pretty solid too. So I don't know. What are you guys thinking?
Well, we'll have to reacquire Evander Kane if we want to crash through the Vegas goal crease again like they did last year.
I'm okay with that.
I don't know. Looking at that game on Saturday, I don't know if Kane will get there in time before the whistle goes.
No.
He's not been moving well, man.
Yeah, I barely noticed them.
Part of it maybe that he's checked out as well. I mean, that's one guy that needs to be emotionally involved playing for something. Maybe he gets rejuvenated, but apparently, I think it was Canuck media. One of their guys was saying that the Oilers or the Canucks tried to ship out Kane, and they contacted Edmonton, and a source said that that ship had sailed. Edmonton's kind of moved on from that.
If we need a player like him, who would you bring? Right? I mean,
how many players are there like him though?
Not many. I think that
Fred is supposed to be one.
Yeah, Fred is supposed to be one, and I'm hoping he still turns out to be that. But I don't think he's as bad, like in terms of agitating other teams, as Kane is, right? So I hope they bring some muscle back in. I do miss watching Desharnais ragdoll Kachuk last night. I do miss the guy. He's big and he's somebody that if you mess around, he'll come and he'll, But that's
How many
the one
minutes a
thing I
game
think
is he
going in.
getting right now, Desharnais?
What's that?
How many minutes of the game is he getting?
Just enough to beat up on Kachuk, and that's good enough for me.
Yeah, I don't think he's logging a lot of minutes out there.
No,
do
he's not.
you think, just a question, random question here, going back to our Jay Woodcroft, Dave Manson days, do you think that if they were running the Swedish Olympic team, that they would take Desharnais over Broberg?
I don't know. I mean, it depends on the way the team is being built, right? But I there's a reason why we lift guys like Kachuk out, or sorry, his buddy in Florida. There's you don't know what these guys are thinking, and there's a lot of favoritism goes
There's
on
no
with the
way
teams too, right?
any NHL team's going to take Desharnais over Broberg. Come on, let's be honest here. Except Dave
I mean,
Manson,
unless he's injured, which he
who aren't in
always
the
is.
NHL anymore.
Yeah, but Broberg, I mean, he could be injured. You never know. There's a good chance he's not going to be.
Broberg is probably more effective than a healthy Desharnais.
I mean,
Depends on what's injured.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, if you're talking about toughness, then I'll take Desharnais every day, right? there's no competition there at all.
I know you're not a big
fan. You're looking retrospectively at the players and the asset management. We're getting into that time of the year where we can almost start talking about trade deadline and which teams are going to be buying and selling. And if you look at the standings, it's so compressed. You have teams that are out of the playoff mix, like Washington in the East. They're not selling, obviously, they're 2 points back, but everybody seems like they're only 2 or 3 points back. I think Columbus is maybe going to make some moves as a seller. You can see Ottawa, trading some pieces out. It looks like their season's gone off the rails, but there's not a lot of sellers out there who can, potentially help, whether it be the Oilers or anybody else who's in the playoff picture to arm up for a playoff run. So do you see anything happening after the Olympics?
Are we talking Oilers?
Well, Oilers or anybody else in the division, I guess, that could impact the Oilers playoff run.
Right now, I don't see it personally because we haven't really been able to be creative, and we don't have the cap space, right?
Yeah.
As far as other teams, I mean, look at what other teams have been able to accomplish, right? Colorado in season. I mean, I guess we kind of done the same thing this year. They revamped their whole team last year, and it isn't necessarily a good thing. I mean, even Vegas adding Rasmus Andersson, is this a good thing? On paper, it looks like it is, but I don't think you can sleep on and dismiss team chemistry and just years of playing together, right? And I think that especially when you're playing a team 7 times or less in a playoff series, I think that the chemistry and that stuff comes into play because the margins for errors are so small. And I mean, I like our odds because we've got 97 and we've got 29. The big advantage that we have is if everybody else can play even on any given night, those guys can pull us out, right? In a 7-game series, I'm taking us every time, mainly because of those two. As long as everybody else can kind of hang around, I like our chances.
I think we're still going to bring somebody in. I think that there is still room to bring at least one player in. Mangiapane is going to go out. Where he's going to end up, I'm not sure, but there is a good chunk of money right there that we're going to probably try and get somebody with retained salary and throw in or number 1 or number 2 pick in the 27 draft.
How deep are we going? Like McDavid's grandson's draft, right? Like, come on.
I mean, that's what it takes. I'll trade it all for a cup. I'll tell you that. If we're close and we're going to get a cup, I'll do it. Because we're going to suck for a long time when these guys are gone, Ali. The decade of darkness is going to come full circle again. You know that, right?
Just want one cup. No, you know what? Honestly, as much as, this pod has been hating on Stan Bowman, if you look at our farm team and if you look at his ability to come in and bring these guys in, that's going to be the key in the next few years is getting these guys in. I mean, Quinn Hudson just re-upped. These guys are, potential guys that could come in and, what I've noticed is the NHL is going in this direction. Like if you look at Montreal, if you look at all of these younger teams like Anaheim and stuff, they've got these guys that can skate, right? And I think that in a couple of years here, we're going to see your bottom 6 are going to be like, I don't know if you guys remember playing that ice hockey game on Nintendo back in the day, but they're all going to be these little skinny guys that are just skating all over the ice. And I think that's where this league's going. I don't know. We'll see.
Ice hockey was absolutely phenomenal for the old roster composition where you could choose what player profile you were going to put for your 4 guys. That was great stuff.
I
Three
think San
skinny
Jose
guys and one
guys,
fat guy for the point.
Yeah.
of the teams right now that look like, their future is really bright. Besides, obviously, the Anaheim looks good, but San Jose and Celebrini is surprising me every game. The guy is incredible. He's an amazing player, and I think that he's going to be a legit super, if he's not already legit superstar. And this guy's going to have some really good days ahead for San Jose Sharks. And it's, the Oilers at some point when Dre and McDavid are too old to move around, those are the kind of players we need to kind of like find in through the drafts or whatever it may be. And that time is not now, though. We have to get.
Celebrini was a #1 overall pick, so
Yeah.
I don't know if we're gonna do that while Leon unless we pull off the heist of the century. But I think we have a bit of legroom here, a bit of runway with Connor and Leon. I think we're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And I just want to
talk. The scouts are already talking about Celebrini's little brother playing at the North Shore Winter Club, lighting up the U16, U15.
Yeah.
So that's draft class of 29, I think, for Celebrini, the younger.
So save that draft pick is what you're saying?
Yeah, save it, bank it.
Yeah, don't trade that one. Celebrini's good. Don't get me wrong. I've been impressed, but I even hear people talk about him being, better than McDavid when at the same age. People need to realize here, though, that McDavid was torching the NHL and far and above. Like, he was the only guy in his second year to get 100 points, right? I feel like, there's all this talk about Bedard, Celebrini, all these other guys. I think Connor's still on a different level, right? And I think that when you talk to guys that have played, like I have a friend of mine, he played a little hockey with Mitch Marner. And he was saying that any other draft class, because Marner's unreal, any other draft class, Marner might have gone first or second. But that 2015 draft class, even Eichel, absolutely insane, right? Toronto Maple Leafs are finding that out the hard way, right? How good Marner was.
Well, I don't know. In all this talk about these superstar players and McDavid, let's not forget we got Leon. And while we're talking about Leon, I'm wishing the guy well. I know he's in Germany, and whatever's happening, I hope he.
Is he back now? He's not
no,
back yet.
No, end of the week apparently he's going to be back. But whatever's happening, I hope it's something he gets past, and wishing him well. But we got lucky, man. We got Leon, and he is. If it wasn't for McDavid, right now the premier player in my eyes is Leon Draisaitl. I'm sorry, I know, I don't care what name you bring. I know there's Kucherovs and all these other players, but you know what? At the end of the day, the player that gets overlooked, in my opinion, because of McDavid is Leon, and he is phenomenal in every way.
If you want to get a true accounting of what kind of hockey player Leon Draisaitl is, go ask a Nashville Predators fan.
Oh man, he just has
He
fun against
torches the Canucks too. He torches a lot of teams. But Draisaitl's a great player, but I think that those two guys, they complement each other really well and they feed off of each other. And I think they're both as good as they are because of each other, right? Mm. You can make a strong argument that who knows if Leon would be where he's at with McDavid, but you can make the same argument the other way, right?
Yeah, he's scoring. I mean, not a lot of players have played on McDavid's wing, and they don't score at a clip that Leon has, right? So, yeah. What else we got on the table here? Now that we've finished bashing on the Canucks there a little bit, and
I'm not done with that. I just want to do a quick summary of what happened on Saturday.
Let's do that. I just want to, before you do that, I just want to chime in on Leon just one more thing, and then we'll count it over to you, Brendan.
Sure.
Just with what you're saying about Leon, I will say this: I think that there is not another player in the NHL that you could arguably say is the best passer and the best scorer, the best shooter. If you look at his numbers, the fact that he's consistently at like 19 or 20%, you're thinking, okay, he's gonna have to like average down at some point. But year in and year out, he's not leading the team in shots, not leading anywhere close to the league in shots, and he's a 50 goal scorer. And at the same time, he's not really a goal scorer. Yeah. There's only one other guy that you can think about on that level, and that's Wayne Gretzky, right? Not saying that they're the same player, but how many other guys can you really say he's not really a goal scorer, but all of a sudden he's got 55 goals plus and 55 assists, right?
He's figured out a spot on the ice that he can score from consistently that they can't really defend easily, and it's like Ovechkin. Ovechkin has had a great career in his late 30s because he can keep shooting from that one spot, even though he's not the fastest. They still can't stop him. And I think that it bodes well for Leon that he's probably going to have, the second half of his career is probably not going to look too much different in the first half of his career if he can continue to fire that cannon with accuracy from a spot that's just really hard to defend, because he'll still be good for 20 or 30 goals a year for a long time.
I think I do get what you're saying, but I do think though that he is a far more dynamic scorer than we give him credit for. He can do a whole lot of other things. He's not scoring just from that spot. Case in point in that overtime. There's a ton of goals that he's just scores. Just like he can beat you from distance, he can beat you from close. And for a guy who is primarily a playmaker, I mean, I think he's a better goal scorer than McDavid is. But he's had to work at it, right? And I mean, just insane. And I mean, it's like McDavid. I know that's I don't know. I'm not going to backtrack on it. I do think he's a better scorer than McDavid, but I also think McDavid could be scoring a hell of a lot more goals as well. If he's got what 30 goals, 31 goals. He's second in the league in scoring. I mean, that's still pretty crazy. But this is just how good these guys are. I mean, a few weeks ago we were trashing Leon, and he's fourth in scoring, right? And he's playing horrible. So I mean, we're very lucky. And I was very scared back in 2020-ish that the Vancouver Canucks were building a really solid roster. I was actually worried about it. I was like, man, our window might be cut by these guys. And I think this is a perfect segue into what you want to do and take it in that direction. Let's go back to the Canuck bashing for a bit and lose the rest of our subscribers.
Yeah, right. So I thought that Game 7, maybe it was Game 6 of the Canuck series a couple of years ago, it looked like a torpedo directly at the Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl era. Because if they got bounced by the Canucks in that series, I think it would have spelled a pretty dark period for the years to come following that for the Oilers. Instead, they make it all the way to the final, and they do it again the next year. Torpedo avoided. The Canucks since then, man, have they gone in a different direction. So there I was on Saturday night, and I got to the rink fairly late due to some traffic delays. And I look up in the section as I'm climbing up to my seats, and it's probably like 1 out of every 3 people in my section are wearing an Oilers jersey.
That's right.
And I thought,
that's been a trend, though. That's been a trend for a really long time. At least a decade. There's a lot of Oilers fans here.
A lot of Oilers fans. And I think in this particular case, a lot of the Canucks fans said, you know what? I'll take the money. If they had the season tickets, they just put them on StubHub. They're out. And the Oilers are playing well. The fans are excited to go see them play. So they said, we'll make that trade. We'll give you the money. You'll take the money. Everybody's happy with how this went. And when it got to be about 2-0 or 3-0, you hear some boos from the Canucks fans. But then they just kind of gave up the ghost. And at 4-0 and 5-0, like they knew what they were looking at. It looked like an NHL team playing against an AHL team, most of that second period. And by the third period, it sort of cleared out. I wouldn't say it cleared out. There's definitely people that left after 40 minutes. Like they weren't coming back. Maybe they're just hanging out, having a beer on the concourse. Maybe they went out to Granville a little bit early, right? But there's about 8 minutes to go, and they drew the 50-50 ticket. And then the building just like evacuated after that.
Then it's just all Oiler fans.
It was all Oiler fans.
Yeah.
So for the last few minutes of the game and walking around the concourse afterwards, you see the occasional Canucks jersey, but there was Oiler fans high-fiving each other. Let's go Oilers. It's this whole takeover of an out-of-town building. And to see that out of town was kind of crazy to have that level of Oiler presence. I think the same thing happened to Ottawa this last weekend when Montreal rolled into town. And everybody's down on the Ottawa Senators, and the Montreal Canadiens fans rolled in there with a high degree of confidence. But something I've never experienced as a fan before on the out of town
circuit.
See that many Oilers fans in the presence and having a good time. It was a very cool experience, and definitely recommend it if if you're thinking about going to a Oilers Canucks game as an Oilers fan. These are good days to do that.
Yeah, they're talking about it on the radio here too. Oilers Now, and Bob was saying that he's seen big Oiler crowds, but he said that taking over the building was special. He's like, Mark Spector was saying the same thing. He's like, we've seen it where the Oiler fans take over a building, but the thing is, the Canuck fans are miserable. They hate everybody, but they particularly hate the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, more than anybody else, probably, right? So when the Oilers walk into town and do that to them, hey, I can't imagine right now.
They still think that McDavid cost them the cup when he high stick that guy or whatever it was.
Oh, that's so funny, those guys. And if Demko was in net, we would have lost for sure. And if their forwards were playing better, if their grandmas had,
Hey, what? If Demko was in net, I would have been a lot more. I mean, Skinner was terrible in that series.
Yeah.
So I'll give him that. but he wasn't. And I mean, I don't know if you can really play much better than Seelovs did. I thought he did a really good job in that series. But guys, I need to get going. Let's quickly wrap up here. Do we have any last thoughts? Any predictions for the game tonight, New Jersey? I haven't looked at the schedule. I'm not sure what's up in the next few days. You're looking at it right now.
They play on Thursday. I don't remember against who, but they play against Thursday on home, I believe.
I
got like 8 in a row.
Tonight's game against
Pittsburgh
New
on
Jersey
Thursday.
is,
Stuart Skinner and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Capitals on Saturday. Sharks or Ducks on Monday.
Yeah, some winnable games there. I'm going to take the Oilers 4-1 tonight against the Devils.
Yeah, they got a settled score against the Devils. I think last time they lost against the Devils, right? So
we're going to see if we can handle their speed, because we couldn't handle their speed. And I remember distinctively afternoon game, Devils were telling their people that was one of the easiest games that they played in a long time.
Which is
scored
really
a settle
sad.
there.
Can't say that about the Oilers. And then Skinner comes to town, right, on Thursday. That's the next game. I want to see how that one pans out. Hope he doesn't pitch a shutout.
He's definitely not getting a shutout. Is he even going to get the game, though? I guess he's their de facto starter, right?
Yeah.
He played yesterday against Seattle.
Yeah. So
he's probably starting against Edmonton, I would think.
Yeah.
We got Washington on Saturday, and we got Anaheim on Monday. I'm going to go win.
Okay,
Even though we're probably not going to do that, but
no, I think they'll post an L against Washington. They seem to struggle against them, but I'll take the victory against the Ducks. So I'm predicting win against Jersey, win against Pittsburgh, loss against Washington, and then win to wrap up those 4 games.
I'll piggyback on that. I think that's a good pick right there.